Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers, winner of the Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Award for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, with your hosts, Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Mahalchik.
Hello and welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andy Mahalchik.
And I'm Jane Ann Bugda, and this is the social distancing version of Newsmakers. Many people are feeling the impact of COVID-19 in our communities, from needing help in putting food on the table to basic needs to help in paying the rent.
Today we are joined by the representatives of the United Way who are here to talk about a unique initiative to help ease that impact as we all try to return to a new normal.
We'll introduce you to our guests, and our conversation will begin when Newsmakers returns right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik, and today we are talking about the United Way and a unique effort to help people who may be feeling the impact of COVID-19, and a unique effort initiative with Eyewitness News, WBRE, and WYOU. We are joining forces with United Way, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And this is a social distancing version of Newsmakers. So we are joined today remotely by our friends from the United Way. We are joined by Bill Jones, who's the president and CEO of the United Way of Wyoming Valley, Kelly Malone, the executive director of Schuylkill United Way, and Joanne Troutman, the president and CEO of the Greater Susquehanna Valley United Way. And they are joining us remotely today to talk a little bit about each of their United Ways and what they are doing to help the impact in their community and how they are joining forces to help everyone during this time which we are all experiencing, which is very different for all of us.
You know, we were talking before we went to air today that this really COVID-19 has changed. It's, what will the new normal look like moving forward? Because today's normal and yesterday's normal will not be tomorrow's new normal. So we appreciate all the folks from United Way being here today to talk about what they're doing in their respective areas to help us transition, all of us transition into that new normal.
So let's bring our guests in and talk a little bit each about their United Way and the areas that they cover. And Bill, you go first. Tell us a little bit about the United Way and the area that you cover, and then we'll talk to Kelly and Joanne.
Sure. Thanks, everybody. I'm Bill Jones. Our United Way is the United Way of Wyoming Valley. So we're responsible for the northern 2/3 of Luzerne County. Plus, our United Way is also responsible for Susquehanna County and the Berwick School District.
Okay, and Joanne?
We are with the Greater Susquehanna Valley United Way, and we're the rural part of central Pennsylvania, Snyder, Union, and Northumberland counties.
And Kelly, last but not least.
And we are the Schuylkill United Way, and we cover all of Schuylkill County, which is approximately 147,000 residents. It's a large geographical area, but it's very well populated.
Let me start from square one, folks. How has COVID-19, I'm sure there could be many answers to this question, but how has COVID-19 changed the way your individual organizations operate and how you approach helping the community? How has it changed each individually, if at all?
Well, I think it's kind of changed everything, reminded us a little bit of what's really important, what really matters. We've been having a lot of conversations in our region about equity as it relates to schools and education. But mostly our focus has shifted entirely this last 6 weeks or so to making sure that people's basic needs are being met. Those hubs, what we consider the hubs of the community, are often libraries, schools. They're all closed. And so we pretty quickly had to go into emergency disaster mode and try to find alternatives. And it's been interesting, to say the least.
Okay, Kelly?
Sure has. Here in Schuylkill County, as Joanne said, the hubs are closed. So we've kind of become the hub, especially for our 16 partner agencies. We are making sure that they are receiving food, that they're receiving shelter, and the basic needs are being met.
Okay, and Bill?
Yeah, for us, our United Way has really been focused for the last 5 years on the issues of childhood poverty. And as soon as this happened, it was kind of a bit of a pivot to make sure that those safety net services that are so critical to our community, food, shelter, communication and information, all of those things were in place, to help people in that immediate response. So we had to pivot a bit to focus on what is the priority of the moment. And it has been just a tremendous change for all of us in how we operate from home, how we communicate, and how we serve those people who are most in need.
And you said this is a change, and you've all been involved in the United Way for many years, and you've seen many things. But how is this different? How has this been different for each of you in overseeing your organization? Kelly?
Well, I've been with the Schuylkill United Way for 28 years. And as my executive committee said to me, there's no playbook with this. So what we're doing, and I think it's working, is we're using our heart and our head. And we're making sure that the most basic needs are met. And what I mean by that is, there are a lot of people that don't have food because they don't have the option of having food because they have lost their jobs. Here in Schuylkill County, we've had some layoffs, but not massive layoffs, and that's a good thing. The one thing that I have seen is that our community has come together as a whole. I've never seen better communication throughout the community than what I've seen during this time of COVID. And I think that's very, very important because we're not in this alone. We're always taught to be leaders, but in this case, it's not just one person leading. We're doing this as a community, and that's something that I have seen and something that I really relish because it's making a difference in the end to serve those who need it the most.
And I think what's been interesting about this is that we are not just serving people's basic needs, but we all have very quickly had to dive into public health mode. And I think that's partly what also makes this very different is that we're all having to try ourselves and our organizations to be responsible, pay attention to the guidelines, and not just that, but also try to manage people in other organizations and doing the same thing. I really think what has been a blessing, what I've seen as a blessing is how our United Way network and our nonprofit network has really pulled together and said, all right, let's cut out all the noise. Let's work together. Let's figure out how to do this. And I think that's partly why United Way being a leader in this has been so strong, because we do have that network and that closeness. It's been a blessing, but that's not to say it's been easy.
Okay, for us, I think this is probably one of the biggest challenges our country has faced probably since World War II. And that's a huge, that's big. And I think it's our generation is stepping up to say, how do we help first deal with the health crisis? And then as the health crisis moves into the economic crisis that it is, what is our responsibility as a United Way to our community, to our citizens? How do we preserve the health of our own organizations? So I think most of us, we've been working 6-7 days a week, trying to address issues in our community to ensure that both our organizations stay healthy, as well as the needs of our partners, starting with those partners that are serving the most in need at this point. Again, the food, the shelter, the health-related organizations that are so on the front lines of this. How can we help? How can we bring volunteers and what's needed? And I think the United Way has been called on in every community to say, here's what's needed. How could you help? And every single one of our United Ways are stepping up to meet that challenge.
What are the most, is there a common question? What are the most common questions you are hearing from the public? Because, every agency, United Way, deals with issues in their own communities. They have special plans, designs. We've covered those for years, but this is so unusual. Let's start with Joanne. Is there a common question you're hearing from the public in recent weeks?
I think, we look at the data, and I think every week as this crisis goes on, it's a different question each week. But I think the overriding issue that I'm hearing about is really the uncertainty. When am I going to be able to go back to work? How am I going to be able to go back to work? It's I think that piece that has given people so much anxiety. And really, our local healthcare leaders have done a really tremendous job in doing their best to communicate, but people are scared. Even when we go back to work, fully, I think that anxiety will still continue. So I think the uncertainty is really what's weighing on people the most.
Okay, Kelly?
The common question that I'm hearing is, where do I get a mask?
That's true.
And actually that's one of the things that we have addressed here in our community. And to me, that is more than just a basic need, because right now, with most of the counties being in the red for the map, you need a mask. So that's one of the ways that we as Schuylkill United Way really have helped our community. We've purchased almost 3,000 masks, and we have not only given them out to our partner agencies and the consumers of our partner agencies, but we're giving them out in the community as well. So that's really important. It's when you have older people call you and say, I need to go to the grocery store, I do not have a mask. Very luckily, we're able to say, we have it. Come pick it up, and this is where I will put it, because you have the social distancing. So that really is the common question that I've been hearing.
Okay, Bill, you're up.
Yeah, I think for us, the biggest question for us keeps coming back to financial stability for families. What does the loss of your job and your income mean? And when will at first it was, when will those stimulus checks come? And then how do I get hooked into unemployment? And that was a challenge for lots of people for a while, and that system took a while because everybody rushed to that system and people were afraid that they weren't able to get it. We've also been in touch with a lot of the agencies and our funded partners, and their business model is changing because every one of us could talk about lost revenue. And I think some of those agencies are, I'm a daycare, we can't open. What does this mean for revenue? What does this mean for, we can't have an event, and that loses some revenue each year. What does this mean for our financial stability? And we've been working with those agencies and donors to be able to help those, those issues in the community. And I think all of us are getting so many of the same kind of questions, from health to economic stability to financial stability for families. Everybody's just nervous and uncertain, and it's just going to take a while for things to settle down.
And when you call the United Way and say, hey, I need something, I need help with paying my rent, or I need to put food on the table, who do I call? Is there a number? I know the 211, is that where we start in getting the information rolling? Is that a good place to start?
Definitely 211. Certainly if people call our office, we can connect them, but we're really trying to funnel all of those calls to 211 for a variety of reasons. They have the information, so they can be of help immediately and give you the right numbers and the right information, and in some cases even place a referral in our counties. I think they also have the ability to measure data, so that's helpful to us as a United Way to really keep track of what needs we are seeing as they change, as they inevitably will over the course of the next several weeks and months.
And Joanne and I share the same same 211, and a real shout out to Family Service Association for how they've stepped up in their response. On average, ballpark, they would receive 2,000 calls a week, maybe 100,000 calls a year. Their call volume is up 25% or so each and every week, and they are keeping it staffed, keeping it calm, helping people. They have done just a tremendous job. It is just such a valuable resource for the entire community. And so I would encourage anybody, if you have burning questions, to remember and just dial 211. It's a valuable service. You'll get a live person. Even if you call right now, you will get a live person answering that phone and can help you with your most immediate needs or your pressing questions.
You know, as we've said at the outset of this program, Eyewitness News, WBRE, WLU, proud and honored to join forces with the United Way, your organizations, to in an online fundraiser. First of all, how can people donate for this fundraiser, which we've been talking about on air and of course on PAHomepage.com, and what will the money be used for? Let's start with Kelly on that one.
Okay, here in our community, the money, is being used for several things. First of all, I told you we just purchased 3,000 masks, and we did that through the Kepner Scott Shoe Company. The next largest amount of money that we're spending, and we have really found that this has been a great resource, is we're purchasing food gift cards for Boyer's Food Markets. We've spent almost $80,000 to do that, and we've helped over 1,300 people. You'd be surprised when someone receives a $100 gift card that didn't know where their next meal was going to come from, because here in our community, what we've been hearing is the unemployment really isn't hitting them as fast as what they need it. Some of these families with 5 and 6 in a family have gone maybe 3-4 weeks without a paycheck or any income. So that's the next need. The other need, and I never would have realized this, but since the restaurants and things are not receiving, it's the food chain, the restaurants are not receiving food, the egg population keeps growing and growing and growing. So next week we will be purchasing 1,400 dozen eggs, and we will be getting them out into the community.
Wow.
Once again, it goes to show that each United Way is different. And that right now is what is the greatest need here in our community, because we are a little bit more rural. So it's just, it's really interesting. We're keeping a lot of great notes, and let's hope we don't ever have to live through this again. But if we do, maybe we'll know exactly what to do this time.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to see how the fundraiser is benefiting the Wyoming Valley and the Greater Susquehanna Valley United Ways, and learn more about how you can help by donating to the United Way. You are watching Newsmakers, and we are a proud recipient of 3 Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasters Awards for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. Jane Ann Bugged along with Andy Mahalchik, and our guests today are from the United Way. We are joined by Bill Jones, President and CEO of the United Way of Wyoming Valley, Kelly Malone, who is the Executive Director of Schuylkill United Way, and Joanne Troutman, the President and CEO of the Greater Susquehanna Valley United Way. And when we took our break, Kelly had just explained to us what the United Way was using the donations for, that the initiative between Eyewitness News, WBRE, WYOU, and the United Way. They were doing some great things in Schuylkill County with the donations, masks, buying eggs, doing different things to help keep the community going. Now we're going to talk to Bill and Joanne a little bit about what's happening in the community there. Joanne, tell us a little bit about how the donations are helping in your area.
Sure. Like Kelly, we also have gotten involved in mask distribution. We did purchase some from ASA, which is a company. It's actually a sporting goods company in our community that they normally sell football uniforms, but they are making masks right now. But we also have been very blessed. We have had hundreds of volunteers in our community, in particular many from the Mennonite community, sewing masks. So that has saved us some money. We've purchased some supplies for them to make masks. We've done 3 mask distributions already, and are starting to deliver to those who are homebound. Additionally, we actually worked with several libraries and we set up parking lot Wi-Fi hotspots in those libraries, and we've tried to disperse ourselves geographically across our region so that individuals and families can access the internet from their phones or their laptops. We are actually implementing a Wi-Fi ban, so we're partnering with some of the local health medical centers and schools to go places where we might not have broadband, which is about a quarter of our counties has little to no access to the internet. And finally, I think we have a little bit of flexibility with our funding. We've been able to work with our partner agencies to launch what we're calling United We Learn, which is intended to sort of be the virtual replacement for after-school programs and extracurricular activities. We recognize there's really no replacement for that, but we're trying to enrich kids' online experience by giving them things other than schoolwork to do and really connect with one another. But we've also helped our partner agencies in a number of ways that they've been very grateful for.
And Bill?
Yeah, in Wyoming Valley, we've distributed probably in the ballpark of about $125,000 at this point to our partner agencies with just the sheltering systems, some of the, like domestic violence, for example, one of their needs are, instead of congregating in the shelter, because of social distancing and safe practices, they are putting folks in in hotels. It's an added expense to them. To financially support 211, because they are spending about $10,000 or so a week in extra overtime costs, to keep those phones manned, as well as they are. So we're really focused on helping our partner agencies to the extent that we can. But let me take a step back and just say to the folks at Eyewitness News, you guys have been tremendous to us. There are 14 United Ways in your 17 county viewing area. While we're all different, we are all forces for good in our communities. And so the dollars that are coming in through this venue, through your viewers who want to help and get dollars to their community, this is a great vehicle to do that. We are grateful. As the dollars come in, we are finding how we could use those dollars to address pressing and urgent needs. And it's happening every week. There's another call for, can we take care of this? And we step up and we're able to do those things. And we've been working a lot through our partner agencies. I know in Berwick we did do a mask distribution there. Just every community has a different need, and we're focused. And I gave a shout out before to Family Service Association. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Commission for Economic Opportunity, because those folks, the way that they have mobilized volunteers and the food distribution in many of the counties in Northeast PA, have done a phenomenal job. And so while food is really well taken care of, that doesn't mean that the expense of the food is. So, we'd like to ask the viewers, to continue to support the work, either directly, to the United Ways or to, organizations in the community who are doing good things and the right things to help people in need.
Well, speaking on behalf of the Eyewitness News team, we're so proud and honored to be part of this effort. And, most people know the United Way does great things in all of our communities. So it's ironic, but never of this magnitude, I believe, at least I've seen in my 4-year career in journalism. So kudos to what you're doing every day, but especially now in this situation. Very quickly, I'll throw this out, and we'll have Kelly answer this, if you can, Kelly. Are volunteers still needed, and what should they do if someone's out there saying I have time to help out? What should I do?
The volunteers are still needed. Here in our community, we're using them at places such as the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army has a lot of older volunteers that really must stay home because of the social distancing. So that's one of the areas. We also have the Helping Harvest Food Bank of Schuylkill and Berks County, and I know they're helping there. And even some of the companies that are in need and are still paying their employees but don't have anything for them to do are sending them down to Helping Harvest. And what they're helping them do is sort the food, uh, all the food product, and making boxes and bags, and then they help with the distribution. So volunteers are still needed. We were having our day of caring on this coming Friday, but unfortunately that's not going to occur. One of the great things about United Way is that we are resilient. And if someone comes to us with a need, we will get that need filled and we will get it done in the best and quickest manner possible.
And we want to remind everyone that, as Bill said before, that this initiative covers, again, Bill, how many United Ways in our viewing area? I just want to make sure.
There are 14 United Ways in the 17-county area.
Okay, and I want to remind everyone, we have about a minute left, that if you go to pahomepage.com, under the Newsmakers link and on pahomepage.com, you will find the link on there to make a donation to the United Way. And you will also find the information to find your local United Way if you want to be a volunteer, if you want, or if you're looking to volunteer, or if you're looking to have questions answered by your local United Way. And we also have information on there about 211. Bill, Kelly, and Joanne, we want to thank you today for joining us, for sharing what you're doing out there in the community. And we know it's a very stressful time for all of you, and we want to tip our hats to you for taking time and for your volunteers and for your work in our community. For everyone, thank you. For Andy Michalczyk and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Thank you so much for making Newsmakers part of your day. Check us out on pahomepage.com, and we'll talk again next time. Hey guys.